Hey guys, how we doing? Welcome back to the channel for another video. I want to do a video about GAC and history of my opponents and just all that sort of stuff because I really do feel like that this is a pretty big deal in terms of sorry, I'm trying to log into my SWGoH.gg. This is a pretty big thing for GAC right now, man, because there are just so many people that I'm fighting that are just different GPs. People that are super high, almost 9 million GPs. Some people that are around my GP, and just like what they've been using. So let's go hop over to this and just scout out a little bit of what people have been using. So I can't really check for this current round of GAC, but I do know that I have been in some Discord messaging back and forth. People telling me like what they have used, what they haven't used. It's a lot. There's a lot of people are using. First week, though, of this, I fought 3 people. First guy didn't even attack me. Second guy did, Darth Vic. So let's start here with Darth Vic. So I'm just pretty much curious about what they've been using on my defenses. So counter-wise, you can probably go over here to SWGoH.gg and just look at the GAC counters and just see, you know, what is the best counter for that specific team. And you can use that. But in this video, I'm more just kind of curious about what people use against my defenses. Against somebody that's low GP, fighting people that are like at least a million above me, and like what they use against my teams, because not all my teams are relic, by the way. I have teams that are gear 12 and I still have to sit on defense. So I'm just curious. So here we go. My Mon Mothma's team, this guy used troopers. Troopers, I guess if you have speed, they're definitely a great counter. But the reason I like setting that on the front wall is to bait out troopers against, you know, maybe a Darth Revan in the back wall. So I know in this round I did set DR in the back wall. So let's see what he used. So he used gas on my Mon Mothma. I have 3 gear 11, or actually 3 gear 12s and gear 11 Kyle. That is a huge trade. That's a big trade. I like that a lot, actually. So I'm not opposed to that one. Against my Lord Vader with some crappy Kylo Rens, he used an entire JMK cat team. I will take that. He did get full max banners, but that's okay. Next team he did was he tried JML against Kylo. This is a pretty, you know, standard counter, I'd say, for the most part, and I'm very curious as to how he lost this. Relic 7 versus Relic 8, I think, shouldn't still change much, but he was able to not win. So it is what it is. Next team I set was Grievous and Bba. He tried Bad Batch. It is, I would say, well known in a lot of different guilds out there, TW guilds, that I have been a part of and I am in currently, that they do not recommend Bad Batch against Grievous BB-8. BB-8 gives out so much TM that you go before, and it just ruins the entire train. It is just never going to work, so that's why I didn't here. They go before the Echo goes, and if that happens with BB-8 here, it just is an instant loss. But on the topic of Grievous, Grievous is still a great defensive team with this, but I gotta say, Grievous on the offensive opens a lot more doors, I feel like. Sure, you can maybe bait out some Grievous, or bait out some Night Sisters with your Grievous, or maybe a Bad Batch like we just did here, but I just think that there's something special about Grievous for offense I like a lot. Kill some JTRs, some CLSs, some of those bounty teams we're seeing more of with Zam. There's a lot, I feel like, right now that Grievous can kill. And also some of the GLs, Emperor and also Master Luke. There's a lot to use. I'm just partial to that team. And then he tried Rey against my Kylo. Didn't work. And then he cleaned up with Lord Vader against Kylo. So for some reason, my Kylo was just God mode. He was just popping people off. I don't know how that happened using that. I think that's crazy. And then he tried actually Emperor Watt against a Rey Cat team. And this is a big thing for me right now in terms of me wanting to know what works and what doesn't for my Rey Cat team. Because if I can, you know, set Rey Cat in the front wall, that stops, for example, right now, it stops the Emperor. What does it pull usually? Well, it's going to be pulling a GL for sure. Sometimes Master Luke, if you don't have Relic 8 or 9, it can be a bit more dicey. So if that's, you know, 2 that you're not comfortable with using, you're going to have to either be using the Mirror Match Rey, or you're looking at somebody like either Master Luke, if you have the relics, or Lord Vader, or a JMK. That actually right here is probably one of the better defenses in GAC. Rey Cat is definitely a good defensive team, and I want to see what it looks like in the other zone, or the other round rather. But yeah, if you can set Rey Cat in the front wall and then maybe bait out a team like either GL team with JMK, or maybe a Rey mirror match or Master Luke, and then you set Lord Vader in the back wall. That is a big, big deal, guys. Setting just either, even 2 GLs for defenses is going to be very strong. If you have 6, I would set at least minimum 2. And if you're going to set 2, Rey Cat is probably one of the best defenses, and then followed by Lord Vader with some tanks and Maul Mando. Or just Maul, not the Mando part. Anyways, next up, I set... This is one team I'm very curious on because I've been setting this a lot, and it's been getting one-shot a lot. It is with Darth Maul lead with a TM bonus with the Triumvirate plus 1 extra Sith. This team is losing banners, but I was hoping it could get some holds, but it hasn't yet. So what I might do is not even bother with Maul lead and just set the Treya lead. So that way, I just get some more of that bonuses, some more potency, some more CA, and that healing that you get with the leadership. I think that's pretty big. And then I set some crappy bounty hunters. They actually did better than I thought. This shouldn't have been... They should have got full banners pretty much. And then I set Grievous. This is a cleanup, rather. And they used Padme. And then I set a Newt team. They pretty much got full banners. Fleet is Fleet. I'm not even going to go into Fleet because you use the same counters every single freaking time. Next up versus this other guy. He was not able to even full clear me, I don't think. Maybe he did. I don't think so, though. 1405 is very low for a full clear. So, same thing here. I set Lord Vader. He pulled a JMK out. JMK Cat out, rather, to be precise. I still think that's a good trade-off. I gotta say, though, it is definitely better to set Lord Vader in the back wall, blocking some of those teams in the front wall, because if they can pull, some of those Jedi or that Cat out, then they are going in the back wall looking at a Lord Vader team without those teams and those characters that usually kills them. And that is one thing I kind of fought today in my GAC, which was not the most fun thing ever. But it's a great strategy for GAC right now. And then he goes ahead and uses... okay, now we're looking at some more Relic 8s. So this is where, you can definitely still kill Rey Cat. If you have higher relics or around the, a good enough health pool, and if you have Watt and the armor and, a Preton. So that's what happened here. It looks like, I don't know if I had a Relic 8 Rey that it would make much of a difference here, if it would make a, give me a hold at all, but they lost everybody besides the Emperor. They probably got off 3 Beskars, and they got the tank tech off too, but I just am still not quite sure if this would always work, because in my experience, even with all those guys at Relic 7, I can still possibly lose. And I don't like that. So, next up, though, is Treya against Mon Mothma. That's an okay trade, I suppose. Losing some banners against a Kyle team is not the worst thing in the world. And then, we're looking at CLS against a Gas. So, this is a big one I was hoping to see, and I did now just see this. Gas on defense has been a staple for me this entire 2 weeks of GAC. And knowing that it got a hold against CLS is big. It pretty much baited out CLS for one, and now they don't have CLS against other teams, such as Mon Mothma, such as, what's the other team I'm thinking of? Maul Mando's right here. And that's a pretty big, go-to counter these days, is Maul Mando and using CLS. So that's a pretty big trade-off. And then he had to clean up using Darth Revan against the Gas. Super awesome. And then right here, he used Master Luke against Kylo. I'll take that. And he just ended up soloing my Darth Revan with his Kylo. And then we look at the Maul Mando's team, and he used JKR GMY against it. This team is not meant to pull anything crazy. I'm very tempted to not even set this anymore, and I'll tell you why. Because there is a big difference in a defensive comp if you set Maul with Lord Vader than you just do keeping Maul with a Mando team. It is just something that Maul provides inside of a Lord Vader team that is just something that you can't really, there's just a big separation in terms of how strong it is. The Maul comes out of the gate, and the Lord Vader team doesn't, he does 3 to 5 hits, depending on if there's a Kenobi or not. And in this team, if there's no Kenobi on defense with Maul Mandos, you're only getting 3 hits. Yeah, you get Frenzy and all that sort of stuff, but it's just still not that great. If you have Watt, maybe it's a different story, but I just don't like the idea of keeping Watt with this team on defense, let alone even on offense. So, I'm not quite loving Maul Mandos on defense right now, in GAC at least. Okay, keeping going though. He lost BB-8, or to my Grievous BB-8 with his Night Sisters. This is one of those coin flips. If Grievous chose specific people, you can lose, and this time he lost a coin flip. It happened to me too this week. And then next up, he used Troopers against the Treya team. Probably still good. I'm curious, though, how... I guess that's just me having a slower Sith. But, okay, good trade-off, I suppose. And then Bad Batch against Newt team. That's an okay trade-off because my Newt team kind of sucks. And then EP Vader against the other bounty hunters. So this round, I pretty much won, I would say, due to gas. And then also due to Grievous. So Grievous has helped me a couple rounds here with BB-8 in there. But again, guys, there are teams you can use instead. If you have, you know, it's just depending on what the opponent has and what he doesn't have in terms of for relics. Fighting people that are just super high with relics is a big issue. People I've been fighting this entire week have been at least 1 million above me in GP. So, for example, this Mini Cuba guy from Wolfpack, he has, let's see, 8.5 million. At the time I was around that, I now have 100k more. I bloated a lot. But this guy is probably the best player in the bracket, and I lost to him. Mainly because he had 4 Relic 9s compared to my 0 at the time. And then just, you know, having better relics on these guys, better mods. There's a pretty big disparity of a match here, as you can see. But, you know, there's a lot that goes into matchmaking, and there's a lot that goes into what you want to set and scouting. Scouting is a big thing here. I'm not going to go ranting about scouting, but just know that it's a thing. Like, for example, if you see that this guy has pretty high Relic Night Sisters, I probably wouldn't set Grievous on defense, even with BB-8, because he can probably win that regardless of whatever he does. And then rather just maybe pulling Grievous for offense. Some things you can do there. What else you can maybe look at? Maybe Lord Vader seeing these Relic 9. Oh, shoot, let's see mods. Okay, well, all offense and health base. That's pretty scary. He's going to be doing some big damage. Probably going to be a no-go for some of those other counters, right? So, you know, just some things you can, you know, look into. There's so many... This is why GAC is fun, though, because you can kind of get a feel for different opponents, and especially now with the new matchmaking, every opponent is different. Whether you won every single one or whether you lost every single one, everybody is different, and that's the fun and exciting part with this all. And there's a lot of learning to be done, too. You're learning so much. At least I have. Losing 3 rounds in a row, guys, I've learned so dang much for this whole GAC week. And it's fun. You know, it's fun. I just hope that I don't suck so much because most of the crystals are from this mode. But I just thought today's video would be fun to go looking at some of the history of the first week of GAC. I probably should have waited another day or so to see the last 2 weeks, but I decided to go off the first week. Counter-wise, you know, maybe just going into the GAC counter tool in the .gg page and just basing off of that, that's okay too. Lot of the same common defenses though, guys. Some comps are different though. I gotta say, the Omicrons, I'm not very, you know, excited about. I don't see very high value out of Qui-Gon or even Zam in my current state of GAC in my own account. Qui-Gon wouldn't add much for me at least, and I don't think Zam would either because my bounty hunters are just not that great. So yeah, I just think there's a lot I could still learn from. There's a lot I can still do. But I want to go talk about that in a different video. So, guys, that's about it for today. Just some more matchmaking. What have you guys been losing to the most? And what has been holding for you the most in your own defenses? I would love to know. Leave them down below in the comments, guys. Thanks for watching today's video. Until next time, though, I will see you later. Peace out and have a good one. Bye, guys.